with what Iowa Western did as a team, but also himself this last season, my God, just bring half of those numbers.
Just try to pronounce that last name.
I'm going with Berberia.
Okay.
If you know how to say it, drop it in the comments. Spell it phonetically for us so we know how to say it.
I'm pretty sure it's Berberija.
45, 40, 35, 40. He's gonna go. It's time people feel it.
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better. If we die, we die.
Man, woman, and child in that. Put him in the aisle.
Bring that trophy back to Lincoln.
Welcome into another episode of the Big Red Junkies. I am BJ. This is Jed. This is Matt. We are talking portal stuff. If we die, we die.
Portal stuff.
I mean, that's... Okay, first of all, show of hands. Has the portal gone exactly as you expected it to?
No.
Does it ever?
Show of hands, are you mad about the way the portal has gone?
No.
Am I ever?
Are you happy about the way the portal has gone?
I have no idea. I haven't seen these kids play yet.
Well, if you've watched enough college football,
Together.
you've seen some of them. But, yeah, I mean, it's one of those, like, am I frustrated with it? Yeah, but that's kind of more of a general topic of conversation about how the portal is in a general sense. But also, because it needs a lot of restructuring. But I'm happy with this way this last week went. We did our show last week, and we were, kind of reacting to everybody freaking out. And we told people, just relax. It'll happen when it happens.
That quarterback drama for 24 hours was kind of wild.
Yeah. But then, in a week's time, we've picked up 14, 15 guys. And I don't know that I could say that we got, like, the top guys by any means. But I think we got really good pieces that are going to fill some holes.
Yeah. I think we did hit at a couple spots, like the linebacker spot specifically, that are, like, I'm excited about. I'm excited to talk about several of those guys, but we want to get into some of the portal ins and outs here towards the end of the show. The first thing we're going to do is actually go through how we feel like Rhule and Company, because the company has changed over the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Rhule and Company has done in the portal so far. Jed broke down some numbers. What was the qualifications you gave?
Well, I just looked at everybody that we picked up in the transfer portal since 2023. So
I'm talking about the guy or just the dude. Or
oh yeah, I was just telling you about on the Cover 3 podcast. They reference guys as Jags for just a guy.
Oh, gotcha.
Or Jag Plus if they were better than just a guy,
like losers
Or a dude.
Yeah.
Got it.
Let's go to the first class in 2023, and obviously that one's always going to be kind of a harder one because you're coming in as the new coach. You got to get so many different things together, especially with a guy like Rhule who didn't know what the portal was. Realistically, never had to work with the portal in college. So typically you always kind of, I don't want to say give a pass, but for lack of a better phrase, give a pass to a first-time head coach at a school for basically their entire first recruiting class. But specifically, I would say with the portal, especially with it having those two openings that they had before this last year, the one in December and then the one after. But in 2023, they grabbed 14 different players. I mean, kind of going through it, you got like Jeff Sims, Judy, Eric Gilbert, fucking moron, Corey Collier, Jacob Hood, MJ Sherman, Chief Borders, Ben Scott, Billy Kemp, Barrett Liebentreat, Josh Fleeks, Tyler Knock, Caden Becker, Marco Ortiz.
You know what's wild? You know what's wild looking at this?
We got to address the fourth category that we missed.
The fucking idiot.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
Eric Gilbert falls into that.
It's kind of wild if you're out on three
Hanging
looking
out
at
down
these,
there by himself.
If you're out on three looking at these classes and you actually sort by the way they had them ranked that year coming in on the portal.
Okay.
They had Judy as number 1.
Because he was a highly rated guy coming out of high school going into Texas A&M.
I'm more doing this as an exercise in what to expect and what maybe not to expect necessarily based on their ranking coming in. Because somebody could argue that the best player we had in that class, that portal class that was at least most effective while he was here, is probably Marco Ortiz.
I would think I would.
He was a long snapper. We didn't talk about it all.
Yeah, he was but he was one of the best long snappers in the country. He was the finalist for the Patrick Maneely Award.
Yeah.
But I think that the best guy out of that portal class had to be Ben Scott. Yeah. I mean, you had of those guys in 2023, you had 3 guys at least throughout their career at Nebraska that had double-digit starts. Elijah Judy played 3 years. He had 13 starts. So, I mean, he played in almost every game, so it's not like it's he didn't do anything.
He was a piece. He wasn't a dude.
Yeah. He was just a guy. He was a jag. MJ Sherman, we did the show about him being a dude. He certainly was not a dude.
We did a whole show about him being a dude, and then he was not.
He was not.
He became
He wasn't terrible, but
dude-ish by the time he left.
He
fell into that Jag Plus category.
Yeah, there you go.
And then obviously Ben Scott with 24 starts, and I mean he only allowed 2 sacks in his career here at Nebraska.
He was a dude.
Yeah, he was definitely a dude. But everybody else, I mean, you've got 61 starts out of those 14 players, and like 98% of those starts come from those 3 guys.
The jury's still out on Tyler Knack.
Yes.
That's one guy that they expect to get some stuff out of this year.
He's a
there
good
were moments
guy.
where he spot filled for us here this past year. Now, that's a guy who had Power 4 experience coming in. He was from Utah. He's a guy that people expected to be able to get on the field faster.
Mm-hmm.
And that maybe speaks to wasn't a great pickup in the portal necessarily just because of his size. He was 84 rated coming out. He was 6'7", 325. If we're looking for size on the offensive line, that would get anybody excited in this class right now. Hasn't panned out so far. Maybe that's a development issue. Who knows? But
and one of the other things that I looked at, the Pro Football Focus numbers for the snaps that these guys took here at Nebraska. So out of those 14 players, he had 19 total seasons at Nebraska. Only 5 of those seasons had guys of 300 or more snaps.
Wow.
So, and again, 2 of them are for Ben Scott, obviously.
Yeah.
So, not a great portal class in 2023. But again, that's part of the learning process of, again, a new coach learning the transfer portal process in and of itself.
You know what kind of the weird thing is, though, looking at this compared to this year's class? As you read down this list, Georgia, Texas A&M, Virginia, Arizona State, Florida, Georgia Tech, Utah, Baylor. And then you got one guy from Wyoming. It was all Power 4, SEC especially. You had a Notre Dame in there. Those... I think one of the biggest differences between this year's class and that first class, they might have been going for, hey, I'm going to go buy this because it's brand name. Doesn't mean it's the best product out there, but because it's brand name and it's coming from Georgia or A&M or wherever it might be, that should get people excited.
I agree. Kind of the whole...
And they were maybe just the cast-offs on those rosters.
The whole thing with, the Signetti stuff, I think you posted that up about production over potential.
Yes.
They were looking... It seems like that 2023 transfer portal cast, they were looking for more potential than production.
Yeah.
And then you go to 2024, they had 9 guys in the transfer portal. You got guys like Dowdell, Sierra Wright, Jamal Banks, Isaiah Nair, Micah Mazuka, Stefan Thompson, Jalen Gramstad, Bly Hill, Vince Genatone. I mean, you got a lot of guys that played a lot of snaps in those.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you had 47 starts out of those 9 guys, which I think is a better number than what the 2023 one was.
And Bly Hill was supposed to be a big part of that and got hurt.
His was more of an injury situation than anything else. And obviously, Jalen Gramstad is a guy that never came here to start. Only in drastic emergency
I think he did
situations.
what they expected him to do coming in here.
No, 100%.
He was a leadership piece for that room.
Yeah. You had 2 guys that had over 10 starts in their career here at Nebraska, Jamal Banks and Sierra Wright. And again, out of those 9 guys, you had 13 total seasons. 5 of them, again, 5 had 300 or more snaps in a season. So, Sierra Wright did what he did. Deontay Dowdell led the team in rushing touchdowns. He had 600 yards, so that's not terrible. Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nair had basically similar numbers to our leading receivers this year, but obviously they had their own issues that we all know about, with specifically Nair not reaching out to catch balls and things like that. Micah Mazuka was, again, might be in the fucking idiot category because, he just didn't want to not.
Yeah, good talent that can never find a way onto the field because he was an idiot.
Okay, but let's revisit that really fast here, because we just ran an offensive line coach out the door, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that he wasn't developing, and that maybe there were some philosophical differences about who he was going to put on the field, not necessarily putting the best guy for the job on the field based on his personal preferences. Looking back on the Micah Mazuka situation, do you think that potentially we missed an opportunity there only because he butted heads with the O-line coach?
It's definitely possible.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that was the big story coming out of the Colorado game that year, if you remember.
At the end of the day, that's still on Mazuka to get on the field. If you have expectations from your coach and you're not meeting them, that's on you.
That's fair.
Especially when it's an off the field concern.
Yeah.
If it's something that you're not doing, in the training room or on the field, that's a little bit different. If it's just a style thing, but it was clearly an off the field thing. So figure out how to get better with your coach.
Yeah.
Like, that's on the player.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think the Mazuka thing was more of an off the field, not the Pritchett situation, but more of he was just a fucking moron.
See, I've taken as much as I can take from the Pritchett situation. It felt a lot like a similar thing that Pritchett didn't come in and just assume the role of the little brother or the stepbrother that just came and joined the family like Raiola wanted him to. And that was what kept him off the field for the first half of the season. And it came down to a point of combination of injuries and just poor play by the guy that was in the spot that he should have been playing. He got kind of his hand forced of, hey, you're going to play this guy. Figure out how to work with him. And that's what my question is about maybe what happened last year with Mazuka is, if this was really just a personality fit problem, why wasn't that addressed and maybe not an opportunity wasted for a guy that could have been and should have been a good player for us?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had the talent for it, but
it might be part of why Raiola's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Also, to go back to what you made about the 2023 class, there were also a bunch of big Power 4 schools in the 2024 transfer class as well. Texas, Oregon, Florida.
We hit on some more of these, though.
Yes.
The Sayer Wright one, he was basically disjointed from the SC program for the better part of that year prior. So I don't even know if I really count that one, but what's our next best one on here? Probably
Dante Dowdell.
Dowdell?
Yeah.
And he came from Oregon.
With 12 touchdowns that year, yeah. I guess I'd have to say so.
Yeah.
He was the most impactful, at least on the field.
Yes.
Jalen Grandstad might have been more impactful, but who knows?
But what was kind of the key thing that you were talking about here, Jed, that we noticed from this one? These were more used players. We saw a lot more out of these guys.
Yes.
This wasn't just go get a body to get a body.
No.
Smaller class, you should hope that's the case.
Yeah.
Because even just out of the 1 year, like just 2024, we had 4 people go over 300 yards or 300 snaps. So, of those 5 300-plus snap seasons, 4 of the 9 had 300 or more snaps.
Yeah.
So, definitely more production out of this class in and of itself, specifically for the 2024 season. Because most of those guys were just 1 year guys anyway. Dowdell, whether by choice or by force, with graduation or wanting to transfer again.
Yeah. Like
Banks and Nayor, Mazuka, graduating, Stephen Thompson, Dowdell transferred out. So, I mean, Thompson is basically just following Tony White everywhere he goes, from Syracuse to Nebraska to Florida State. So,
yeah.
And then you go to 2025, which I think got, again, drastically better.
There was also a pretty obvious influx of cash given to the portal in 25.
Yeah, Noweri, Key, Spindler, Hunter, Pritchett, McCullough, Watson, Trent, Marshall, Davila, Rhett, Kahn, George.
A ton of names that you've heard us talking about during the season.
Hardly Gilmore, who hardly came here. Jack McAllister, who was the punter that basically transferred immediately once we started going after the Australian kid.
Yeah, he was the Maverick gas station.
Yeah.
Formerly Come and Go.
Yep.
That's a reach.
Bad. And then our starting kicker came out of this too. But, you go.
Can we again talk about the long snapper maybe being the best acquisition? Because especially when you talk about what we had the year before.
Yeah. And we'll probably talk about another long snapper when we get to what we're getting in this year.
Yeah.
And I kind of put on my note for that Kevin Galick, the long snapper. He goes, good enough not to know who he is.
Yes, exactly. That's what you want out of a long snapper.
Absolutely.
That is the best thing the best compliment you can pay a long snapper and most offensive linemen.
If you don't know his name, That's a good thing.
He's up for this award. Wait, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
On our team?
But, obviously you only have one season out of all of these guys, but you had 8 of them have 300 or more snaps. And 3 of them had 10 or more starts. 4 more had half the season starts.
Yeah.
So, again, a lot more. They're getting better as the years have gone on with this transfer portal, getting production out of these guys, not just, long term, but right away.
And acquisitions that are going to be key pieces for this coming season.
Yeah.
Isaiah Hunter, Williams Winery, that's going to be a monster off the edge this year.
Pritchett. Hopefully Andrew Marshall comes back.
Andrew Marshall, he's already said he's coming back. That's good to go.
Justin Rhett started the bowl game. Jameer Khan had spots where he looked really good when he came in.
Jalen George and Gabe Moore are both going to get play.
No, they one of them left.
Jalen George, sorry.
Yeah, he's in
You're
Tulsa.
right, he did. But Gabe Moore, they packed about 40 pounds on that kid from when he's at least what his 290 is, because I think he was at like 335 at the end of the season. He should eat up some snaps this year.
Yeah.
Big boy.
So then you go overall, you had 40 transfers over the last 3 years. I will say, I think that kind of one of the glaring things is if you go position by position, like they've gotten 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends, 7 running backs, 6 offensive linemen, 4 defensive linemen, 3 edge guys, 4 linebacker, 5 cornerbacks, 1 safety, and only 1 running back. And considering we don't have a running back this year yet either,
I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, I know that there's a lot of talk about Marty Brown from Miami entering the portal after the championship game and coming.
He's the
back
dude
here.
who was from North Dakota
Yeah.
last year that everybody was so pissed that we whiffed on.
Yeah. So I know that there's a lot of rumblings about that. We'll see when we get there. Who the hell really knows what's going on?
What are the rumblings on that?
That he's going to enter the portal and come back here.
But why?
Is
Is he just not getting enough play at Miami?
I mean, he plays a lot down in Miami, but maybe he just wants to be the guy. I don't know.
That's fair.
And as we've seen, we're okay with somebody being the guy here. So
It's true.
But I mean, the fact that we don't have anybody else, to my knowledge, and granted, I don't follow this super close as far as who visits the win and all this other stuff. But to my knowledge, no running back has really been connected to us.
No.
So
There was talk of
they
a couple
have to do
dudes.
something.
There was talk of a dude like from UConn that was a guy that was originally an EJ Barthel recruit up at UConn and was there his EJ Barthel's last year.
I know who
there.
you're talking about, but yeah.
But he's already committed somewhere else. I don't know for sure where he's going. There's been some here and there, some talk about like, oh, there's this connection to XYZ, but nothing's come of any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else in this 25 class you wanted to hit on? Or did you have any other specific numbers?
No, I mean, I don't know. Just as far as going through like what some of these guys have done. I mean, all of the ones that really played are better than what most of these other guys have done in the previous 2 years. Because even a guy like Deshaun McCullough, who started 7 games, 350 snaps, he had 21 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. I mean,
and if he stayed healthy all year, that would have just gone up.
Yeah.
So
I also think if we had a D line that was playing in a scheme that actually made sense, it would have probably done some more stuff.
yeah, if we'd have just had a D
guys.
line, that would have made a lot more sense. Do better there.
But the underlying theme here is they've obviously gotten better at the portal, like you said.
They specifically
year.
being Rhule. Rhule
Yeah.
has figured the portal out, at
Yeah.
least to what I can tell.
And now we have a new philosophy this year because we have a guy who's essentially running a scouting department as a GM and making these personnel decisions.
Yeah.
Rhule's not the one having to put the final rubber stamp on all these guys. And some of these guys he might not even be that involved with scouting out.
well, and another thing as far as the 2025 portal class that we had, and I think you brought this up, BJ, on the last show about pointing out you don't have to just get the guys from Georgia, Alabama, all those guys. We got a guy like Andrew Marshall in from Idaho, and he was probably the best guy that we got in the entire portal class all of last year.
And he very well could have played a large role in us going after our current DC, Rob Ork, because he was coached under him and he was flourishing in that system. And he obviously showed something on film that made us want to go get him.
Yeah, looking at this portal class from 2025, it's either Andrew Marshall or Rocco Spindler, who is, I would put as the top guy in this portal class from last year.
I think it almost has to be Andrew Marshall.
But I mean, Spindler's right there too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's
Spindler's
one
right
of those
up
two.
there. Spindler's right up there. And
Whoever's not 1, the other one is 2. So
Yeah. I think long term, you're going to see that that 25 portal class was very, very important to our 26 season.
I agree.
Because there's some stalwarts that we're going to have in that come out of that class really elevate to the next level this year. I look for Winery to probably at the end of his career be the best one out of that class.
I certainly hope so.
If he's still here.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. But yeah, again, overall, I think it's, and I don't really like that we've only gotten one safety out of the portal class, and that was in 2023. But we've got two in this year's.
Yeah.
So,
which we need because we've got age out.
100%. So yeah, the only having one running back in the last 3 years and one safety in the last 3 years isn't great. But I think we're rectifying that pretty well in this year's class.
Yeah. Anything else on those numbers?
Not really.
Let's talk a little bit about the departures before we get into the guys that are coming in.
Okay.
Because when it comes down to the departures, there's been some massive ones when you look at just rankings. We finally know there's an end to the Dylan Raiola saga, a guy who has now gone from demand at Nebraska to, okay, I'll sit behind him if he comes back, and Dante Moore at Oregon.
Yeah, apparently there's two different deals. One if Moore stays and one if he leaves.
Yeah.
According to Sipple.
Which the way that I look at it, I think the odds are heavily in the favor of Dante Moore going, because what are you going to do to improve your draft stock? By moving up one position.
Yeah.
You're choosing whether or not you're going to go play for the Jets. That's really the only difference here.
Yep.
And when it comes down to it, those guys are looking at a chance to go top 5 in the draft. Being able to replicate what he did this year after last year and the way they got dismantled by IU, there's going to be some philosophical changes to the way they're running stuff. Plus, they lost their offensive coordinator. Does he really want to go through that this year? Or is he going to move on and go get his bag?
As far as long-term success throughout the history of the NFL, the best thing for him to do is to come back to college to get more starts under his belt. But because Michael Severe put out a thing, I think it was today or yesterday, listed off the guys that have been drafted in the first round with under 30 starts in their college career. And did you happen to see that?
I didn't see it, no.
And let me pull this up real quick. It was a laundry list of oof.
While you do that, I'm gonna buzz through these really fast because I
good.
think some of our biggest losses here, obviously Dylan Raiola, Malcolm Hartzog. I don't think that's much of a loss, but he went down to Arizona. I know he's either a hate him or love him guy for most fans out there.
I think it's a loss because he did produce, but I know you've never been a fan of him.
He's a big play producer. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
He was the only guy that consistent in the turnover game for the last 3 years. Big time. Outside of that, you're looking at a whole list of dudes that had upside potential, but really never really came to for us.
Yeah.
We had Jamarian Parker was the best running back in last year's signing class that never even sniffed the field this year. Don't know what the deal was there. Tristan Alvano was a tragic story of a dude who was the most touted and highly recruited kicker coming out of high school.
Don't even get Jed started. He'll take you back to his class and tell you the whole thing.
Whatever.
But I mean, outside of that, we lost some O-line guys that I think people were kind of excited about when we brought them in, but they saw basically no development this year.
Yeah.
And they were big time in the Raiola camp.
Machacek.
Yeah.
Is one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Machacek's one of those guys. That Tapu, the Houston Kahani Torres, who everybody thought was going to be the next center coming in.
Which I don't fully blame those guys for leaving because of what
No.
we put them through with Donnie.
Yeah, well, those guys were Donnie guys, though. That is one thing that I'll say. Those guys are Donnie guys. He brought them in. The one thing that I think is a big thing about that is, to me, it speaks to what Jeep Wade saw when he came in and got to work with them for a month leading into the bowl game. That was a huge benefit and I think it's probably why Matt Rhule went about it that way, is asking him to come in right away.
So he could see what kind of guys he wants.
See, hey, you're getting at least 15 practices and time to spend around these guys to figure out, are they a fit for what you want to do or not?
Yep.
And also that gave them the opportunity to, if he did want to keep them, win them over.
Yeah.
Well, and it gave them the opportunity to see where they stood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, okay, well, I don't stand here with you, then that's fine. I'll go somewhere else. No big deal.
The other big shocker loss, I think a lot of people, you had two camps on the Keona Davis side. Everybody was shocked because they thought he was penciled in as a starter for sure next year. And I don't know, when you look at his size, when you look at his production this past year, I think he was kind of stuck in tweener land between, and we talked about this on our last show, tweener land between was he going to be an edge guy or an inside guy? And the production wasn't there for it. And we're bringing in, again, Rob Orrick didn't get a chance to actually coach, but he was around the team for 2 weeks leading up to the bowl season.
Yeah.
Or leading up to the bowl game. He got a chance to get an eye on the guys, and I think that probably played a big part in this. Reminder, he was also in the portal last year, and he basically went in for leverage and came back, kind of like what Emmett Johnson did.
And he hasn't declared anywhere yet, so.
He hasn't declared anywhere. I would be kind of shocked to see him turn about and come back again, though. That's one of those things where you can probably get away with it once for the leverage piece.
Yeah, it's kind of like going and getting a job offer to get a raise. You can do that one time.
Yeah. You do it again, and then you just look like a manipulative asshole.
Then you just need to go take the new job.
Yeah. Yep, kind of one of those deals. As far as, did you get that quarterback stuff pulled up?
Real quickly, just for shits and giggles, not that we're trying to turn into an Oregon podcast.
Please don't shoot in here.
Quarterbacks drafted in the first round with fewer than 30 CFB starts. Anthony Richardson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Mitch Trubisky, Ryan Tannehill, Mark Sanchez, Josh Freeman, Johnny Manziel, and Jamarcus Russell.
Oof.
Ton of winners on that list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a lot of staying power in that list.
No.
So that definitely speaks to somebody who comes back for another year.
The wild thing is you have
But
two
again,
Heisman Trophy winners in there.
Okay.
2 or 3.
Yes, you can say should come back for another
That's why
year.
they left
but
early.
he should also go because he'll get fucking paid.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna, no matter what the salaries are right now in college football, that's still just for 1 year. You start your clock towards your second salary in the NFL, especially as a quarterback. You know, shit happens. You never know. You're going to think that you're going to be the one guy with under 30 stats that's going to do something. So,
Well, and if he
I mean,
gets on a
it's-
team that actually treats him right and he rides the bench for the first year and actually gets some time under his belt in the NFL, maybe it works out.
yeah.
And that's not anybody that's going to take him in the top 5 of the draft.
Right.
But that's just it, though. Like, right, he could come back and he could twist his leg the wrong way and snap an Achilles or tear his ACL in the first game of the year, and then all of a sudden he's set back 2 years trying to just get back to the top of the draft.
Yeah.
That's a big risk to take, and I think that unless he's finding out that his draft stock isn't actually as high as he wants, I think he goes.
Yeah, he'll be a top 10 pick. So even if he's not the second overall pick, he'll be a top 10 pick.
I will say, I think it's kind of funny the people that are griping and crying and complaining about the whole Raiola, the way he left and all these things. It's like, first of all, he left in the moment he said he was going to the transfer portal. Anybody on social media, about 85% of the Nebraska fan base on social media started crying, whining, complaining, and talking shit on him.
Yeah. I do not give a shit that he didn't say goodbye to us.
I was going to say, the fact that he didn't pencil another AI freaking poem to tell us how grateful he was for his time here, not that upset about it.
Which he stole that poem from somebody else, but anyway.
That's cool. I literally
That's all
couldn't care.
AI does.
Yeah, I know. Who
I
cares?
literally couldn't care less. I'm happy for him to be moving on, and I hope he finds what he's looking for.
Yeah, I hope he
That's
does.
all I got.
I hope he does great, except for when he plays us.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I hope he gets in the game and we sack him 9 times.
Yeah.
He'd definitely be used to it.
Well, we should also have pretty good tape on how to get that done.
Yeah.
Pretty good tape on how to get that done. Let's move over to the good stuff, though, because there is some good stuff in this class. This class, if you look it up and down when it comes to the Power 4 experience, there's still some in here. But these are lower level Power 4 schools that we feel like we're getting a guy trying to move up, not just getting kicked out.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. The newest member to the class, this Jasir Whittington, the D-line guy out of Pitt.
Yep.
I'm kind of excited about him. We need D-line bodies, period. We
Yes.
whiffed on, from what I understand, like our top 8 on our board, and we have to take some people and hope and pray that they work out.
Mhm.
As far as the quarterback room goes, that's kind of the most important
Well,
piece.
hold on. Let's
Yeah,
like
stay with the D lineman for a
D-line.
second.
Okay, stay with the
Anthony,
D-line.
Anthony
My bad.
Jones
My bad.
from UCLA looks like he's going to do great things.
Well, I don't know if he will. This is going to be his 5th team, and they've all been in the Big Ten.
He's had quite a tour.
Well, to be fair, when he was at Oregon, we weren't in the Big Ten. But
Yeah,
He's still the 20th ranked
yeah,
he's a big boy.
edge rusher.
He's a big
coming in.
boy. He's kind of basically Keona Davis, but like 20 pounds heavier. And he actually fits what the power edge side of a 4-man front looks like.
yeah. But then and then also the kid that we can't pronounce his last name from Iowa Western, I mean, with what Iowa Western did as a team, but also him himself this last season, my God, just bring half of those numbers.
Just
and I'll
try
be-
to pronounce that last name.
I'm going with Berberia.
Okay.
If you know how to say it, drop it in the comments. Spell it phonetically for us so we know how to say it.
I'm pretty sure it's Berberija.
Berberija. I think they make a cream for that.
I'm just going to call him
something you
Andy.
sprain.
We got Andy from Iowa Western.
Andy from Iowa Western. If you don't know, he had 18 and a half tackles for loss and 11 sacks in 12 games just this last year.
Which is pretty exciting until you realize that Iowa Western had how many sacks on the year?
74 sacks.
So many sacks.
And again, by the way, he had 18 and a half tackles for loss, and he didn't even lead the team.
That's wild.
The other guy had 23 and a half.
He's an exciting pickup.
Yeah, that's a guy that I'm really excited to see the transition. Because, that's also another situation with Iowa Western being what they are, the juggernaut in the JUCO ranks that they are. And there are countless fans that have been pleading and begging many Nebraska coaches, not just Rhule, but many Nebraska coaches since Iowa Western
Spend
started.
some more time down the road.
Yes, get more Iowa Western guys because they've been putting out guys in the SEC all across the country.
Yes.
And most of those guys have been successful wherever they've gone across
Several
the country.
have gone on to the NFL.
Yes.
They win, if not are in the title game almost every year.
And the fact that this guy is our first one is a crime,
Yes.
but I hope that that's first of many.
Yeah. Pipeline, let's go.
Yeah.
They can be our feeder program. We should turn the Dakotas and Iowa Western into our feeder program.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And, all of a
And
sudden
then when we
we'd be
get really good,
fucking
we can turn Iowa and Iowa State into our feeder program, like we did with our offensive line this year. Anything else on the D line that you wanted to look
Nah,
at there? The one that I'm most excited about in this class so far, and we'll get to the quarterbacks in just a minute, but to stay on the defensive side of the ball, Owen Chambliss is a guy, when we did our show last week, we still didn't know for sure what was going on with him. He was reported to be in Lincoln over the first of the year, looking at condos and stuff. And then all of a sudden he was supposed to, it had been reported, I'm scheduled a visit for Saturday. And then all of a sudden, visit's off. I'm going to Texas A&M instead. And everybody was in an uproar about it. This is Rob Orch's dude, his leader, his Levante David on defense for San Diego State, was the green dot wearer all season last year. He had 110 tackles, 62 solos, 9.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks by himself as a middle linebacker.
And on Pro Football Focus, in the entire country, he had the 17th best coverage grade for linebackers. So he can clearly drop into coverage.
And
that's not bad.
Let's talk about the fact that our linebackers were atrocious in coverage this year.
Yeah.
Atrocious.
Yeah.
None of them were good. All of our fans know how much we love Vincent Shavers.
Yep.
He got burned in coverage a lot.
Because they were so worried about people coming through on the run game.
That's a true story. That's a true story.
Yeah.
But there were designs, especially in the second half of the season, by offensive coordinators specifically to pick on our linebackers in coverage.
Mhm.
That's what was happening. A guy that can come in and immediately take over as the leader of the defense. He's essentially what we thought we were getting, or what we were hoping we were getting out of Marquise Watson-Trent last year.
Yeah.
From a higher level program. Following his D coordinator, he already knows the entire system in and out.
Just going to say that, yeah.
Knows the system in and out. This should be as plug and play as they come.
And not to move on from the linebackers, but the same situation with the Dwayne McDougal, the safety coming from San Diego State. Again, on Pro Football Focus, he was the top 10 graded run defensive safety in the country. So he's going to be able to come down and be able to make tackles. Yeah, he also had 4 interceptions. But to be able to have a safety like that, be able to come down and fit in the run game, is going to be highly beneficial for us.
Hell yeah.
The defense was clearly a priority.
Yeah.
For Matt Rhule.
Yeah.
Going into this offseason.
Big time.
And they're also really big guys.
Yes,
Mhm.
they are Big Ten guys.
Yes.
That was the point that I was getting up to about the Marquise Watson-Trent. Marquise Watson-Trent was a lot of the same type of play as Owen Chambliss, but he was 5 inches shorter.
Mhm.
And 5 might be gracious.
Yeah. No kidding.
Because Owen Chambliss is a 6'2", 6'3" guy.
Yeah.
Big dude.
Yeah.
Excited about those guys. Do we know much about the the Jason Shiggs out of Townsend? He's got good stats, but again, it's an FCS type guy.
Yeah.
This is kind of reminiscent of corner that we love.
Sierra, right? Andrew Marshall.
Andrew Marshall.
Okay. Didn't know which one you were talking about.
Sorry, a low level guy that everybody is assuming to come in and not do much. He might be a star for us. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he had 72 tackles with Townsend last year and 1 interception. So,
he at least has gotten some good playing time.
Again, another guy that has a lot of tackles.
At the very least.
Yes.
At the very least. Lots of experience playing. The other 2 linebackers that we picked up, those were both guys, like the guy out of Oregon State, that Dexter Foster. He's a guy that we were actually after hard when we were recruiting him out of high school. And he kind of got lost in the shuffle. They're going through some things up at Oregon State. It seems like this was one of those. We actually kind of talked about this on a show, if I recall, 1 or 2 seasons ago in the offseason of, hey, maybe they went hard after recruiting him knowing they weren't going to get him based on location or based on pay or whatever it might be. But they kept that connection going, and they followed back on that.
Well, and he had a season-ending injury halfway through the season. He only played in the first 7 games, and he still ended up with the 4th most tackles for Oregon State.
52 tackles.
Dang.
So,
crazy.
Yeah.
Only a sophomore, and you can't really blame the kid for staying closer to home. He went to high school in Oregon.
Yeah.
So,
Excitement on that.
Also, I like seeing somebody who's 6'4" hanging out in the middle of the field.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, those 3 linebackers that we're getting, 6'3", 6'2", 6'4".
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
No, not bad at all. Let's move on to the quarterbacks because the quarterback is kind of it was the linchpin for this whole class to start coming together.
And one of them, your man crush, is coming back.
You guys all know how much I love Danny Kaelin. When he was here before, I got made fun of it on this show several times for it.
And it's back.
Here's the one point that I'll make on that. We were actually,
good. We can do this again.
I was having this conversation with a guy who was a big Danny Kaelin believer as well, and he thought that he's like well, he's going to come in here and compete. I think Danny Kaelin knows he's coming in here to be probably the 3rd string guy.
I think he's an incredibly smart
that's
player.
That's where I'm going with this. Is he's a guy that went out to Virginia. He was chasing a dream to try and start at the Power 4 level. I think going out to Virginia, getting his chances that he got out there, and he didn't necessarily play all that well when he got in the game. I think that he kind of sees the writing on the wall that maybe being an elite level Power 4 quarterback's not in my cards. I'm going to go where I can be a good depth piece on a team that is in my backyard. I already know everybody there. I love everybody there. I never really wanted to leave, but I wanted a chance to start. And I've already, like Matt Rhule's already said publicly, I hope someday I can hire Danny Kaelin as a coach. So if you're going to look at your after playing career and say, hey, I'd really like to get my start someplace from a coaching perspective, you're going to go with the guy that's already promised you that.
I will say, yes, going into the season, Danny Kaelin's probably he's at least 2nd at best, 3rd at worst. But at the same time, you've got a guy with Anthony Calandria, who I'm not trying to shit on, but there are some fans that are comparing him a little bit to Jeff Sims because he does have a lot of turnovers in his career that he's been playing. And then you also have Trey Lance. Jesus, I already brought up Trey Lance earlier. TJ Lateef, who is still going to be just a sophomore and, didn't really play a ton this year other than the last 4 games. And then you have a guy with Danny Kaelin who has 2 years of college experience playing sparingly, but still, and also a very smart kid. Who knows? Calandria might come in here, throw a bunch of picks, make a bunch of fumbles, have to make a switch. Danny Kaelin could end up being the guy at some point next year. And I actually wouldn't be opposed to that at all. So he has an opportunity to possibly be able to play. And also, we've seen it here for the longest time, whether it's injuries or guys that like to give up the ball, whether it's Sims or all the other injuries that we've had over the last handful of years, we need our backup quarterbacks. And I like the potential of having Danny Kaelin as one of those guys.
100%. 100%. But on to Calandria, I am excited about this kid.
I am too. I know that I kind of just shit on him a little bit with the turnovers, but I am also still excited
Talk about a fucking playmaker.
Yeah.
That's it. And you kind of already stole my thunder on this one, but I was going to bring up the Signetti quote on this. This is a prime example of, and this is the difference between our first quarterback that we thought we had committed at this time last week to now.
Mm-hmm.
This guy has production.
Yep.
He put up 4,108 total yards of offense this past year. 300, basically 3,500 of that was passing. 23 passing touchdowns. He had 10 rushing scores. The guy is electric. He definitely, like, I've heard comps to Baker Mayfield from his, like, in your face, throw it out there, competitive, like, rah attitude.
If you can back it up, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
The only time we saw that out of our quarterback this year was when he ran down to the corner of the end zone and mimicked Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Because outside of that, we didn't see on-field fire like that. I'm excited to see a guy come in here that has that type of swagger, and I just hope that he can keep it.
Calandria is going to be a lot of fun to watch. He's going to piss you off a lot.
Probably.
But then the next play, he's going to be like, God damn it, I got you.
Wait, are you trying to tell me that this is going to be my next Malcolm Hartzog right here?
Maybe. he might be. He very well
he's
might
gonna
be.
fuck up like half the game, and then all of a sudden at the end, he's going to make one play that makes everybody fall in love with him.
If it results in a W, I don't give a
Yep,
shit.
I'll take it.
You can raise my blood pressure as much as you want. If you get the
100%.
win, I'm here for it.
Well, not mine. My blood pressure's already crazy. So,
All right, Jim will watch the games, but
100%. The other thing that I'll point out about him, yes, he's undersized at straight up 6 foot.
Yeah.
If he's lucky,
Yeah,
6
that's-
foot.
That's with heels on.
He's undersized, especially to be in the Big Ten for a quarterback. But
especially with some of the linemen we brought in.
yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
But I will say a guy who has previous starting experience in the Power 4 level at Virginia, and then you have this last year under what's his name
Mullen.
kind of a quarterback whisperer out
Mm-hmm.
at UNLV. If he comes in here and he's balling out for the first 5 or 6 games, and all of a sudden you start to see a backslide and he's changing the way he's playing, if there's not conversations about a quarterback coach, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
I know you've already started that conversation.
Yeah, that conversation is being had right now.
Just saying, everybody watch out for weeks 5, 6, and 7. Let's continue to see what the production looks like. That's really all I have on the quarterbacks. I'm excited about it. It's interesting to see 2 former Virginia guys coming back in here. I don't know if there's any sort of a connection on that side of things, but it's interesting to note.
The last thing we need to talk about is the offensive lineman, because that clearly has
Well, that's
also
not the
been
last thing, but that's the next
a
thing,
point of emphasis.
for sure.
I mean,
We got
Tree.
we got 2 starters.
Tree is the dude's name
Yeah.
because nobody knows how to pronounce his actual first name.
We have 2 starters currently, and I think we're still probably looking for a third.
I agree.
I think we're still looking for a guard.
I know it's not pronounced Beyblade, but it looks like Beyblade. So Tree Beyblade is my new favorite character. My new favorite.
Babalade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like-
Babalade.
I
Nope,
like saying
Beyblade.
I like saying Babalade.
It's Beyblade.
Babalade. Yeah, he's
You guys
he's
are
a big
too old
boy.
for my reference. I get it.
No, I know what your reference because my brother is your age, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
I have no idea. I'm in the middle here, and I have no clue. But this guy is exciting.
Tyler's watching this, going, "Yeah, I remember Beyblades."
Yeah. 6'5", 340. He already has some good playing experience. He's going to be a great addition.
Yep.
And it'll probably be on left tackle. Is that what he plays?
No, he's right. He'll be right tackle.
He'll be the right tackle in there.
Yeah, he put all of his snaps this last season were at right tackle at South Carolina. From what I understand, and just looking like a little bit at kind of message boards, things like that, I watched a couple different quick podcast clips on the guy leaving. Their fan base is very split on whether or not he was a guy that they wanted to keep or a guy that they were glad to see go.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we saw from Alabama last year with Pritchett. There's a lot of upside in his size, and they feel like maybe there's been a little bit of underperforming going on there. He's got a good tie to our new run game coordinator / assistant O-line coach.
Yep.
So that's where that connection comes in. I have no idea what to expect out of Jeep Wade other than I do expect better development than what was here before.
Well, can't be worse.
And if they picked this guy, that means he's going to be mean, he's going to hit people, and he's going to play with pride. Because that's the biggest thing that I've gotten out of anything Jeep Wade has said is you're playing for that N on the helmet, and it's going to mean something.
He's going to hit him with his branches.
Whipping him with the switch.
Yep.
All right, Adrian Peterson, here we go.
And then that Braden Black from Iowa State. He
Huge addition.
according to Pro Football Focus, he's the 8th rated Big Ten guard on offense and the 5th rated Big Ten guard in run blocking.
Love
this
it.
last year. So specifically with run blocking, if we are going to try to continue to run the ball like we did this last year with Emmett Johnson, we need a guy like that.
Love it. He would have graded out as, if I'm not mistaken, our second highest PFF overall for his starts in 25.
Okay, I did not
on
look
our
at that,
offensive
but-
line.
Yep.
67.8, and I believe was it Evans was like a 69 or
I
something
think
like that.
Evans was our number one guy.
That's what I thought. But it's very obvious when you look at these two dudes. They put an emphasis on the power run game. We will be moving dudes. We'll be doing some bulldozer shit with these guys, and they are both huge. We are upping our average weight on the offensive line between these two guys by like 30 pounds overall at those two positions.
Yeah.
That's big.
And I think one of the other guys that was connected to us that took a visit or something like that, he was also like 330.
Yeah. Well, there's the I think he's visiting on Thursday because tonight's Monday night, the 12th, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is some sort of coaches convention where it's basically like a moratorium on visits. But the left guard that started several games this last year at LSU, he's out, and he's a guy that's supposed to be coming in for a visit. Either he was here yesterday or he's coming in on Thursday, and that's going to be a big one if we can land him. He a big boy as well.
Yep.
I
I think the only other guy is the wide receiver that we're getting from UCLA, Quasi Gilmer.
yes.
You know,
Isaiah Hunter 2.0.
basically, yeah, especially if you look at his numbers.
And his size.
From UCLA. Like he was the leading wide receiver for UCLA last year, whatever that means. I know UCLA wasn't very good, but still.
50 catches for 535.
They ruined Penn State's season, so they were somewhat good.
He probably had 200 yards in that game. The rest of it was nothing. Yeah, I think he's almost a carbon copy of what we got out of Isaiah Hunter.
Yeah.
He's coming in
I'd be okay with that.
with 2 years of eligibility remaining. He's in the same class as Isaiah Hunter. There's very similar body style. Both of them have a little bit of physicality to them. I think Quasi Gilmer can take the top off of defense a little bit more, maybe. We'll see. We'll see if we even try.
Yeah, well, I think that's the bigger thing. Are we actually going to try to throw the ball downfield? I guess that, we'll see.
Calandria seems like he likes to make big plays, so I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah.
I should actually go in. I'm not doing this now, but I'm just saying I'll go in and look to see how he was throwing the ball downfield this last year, Calandria.
And we can't leave out our incoming
The long snapper?
We can't leave him out. Jack Wills was a completely out of the blue guy coming from Michigan State.
Yeah, because he's a long snapper. Everybody's out of the blue.
Hey, but that means it's good.
No,
that's a good thing.
Hey, I'm not
That's a
shitting
good
on
thing.
it.
That's a good thing. I'm excited about it. I think this class definitely fills a lot of holes from a perspective of unknowns, because I think they did miss on some of the higher end guys that they said we had the money for, and who knows if it was a money thing? Who knows?
It doesn't mean we didn't have the money.
I was going to say, who knows if it was a money thing or if it was a
fit,
lack of
whatever.
competitiveness this last year that caused people to maybe look a little bit different.
It could be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be just because of the money.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.